friends and fellow citizens. Why are you here? Why have you come here this evening?
To see you!
Why are you going to the polls on Saturday next? Because the government of our country is our choice, not the choice of the PAP. And don't be fooled by these fears that the PAP has put into our hearts for 52 years. That without the PAP things would be bad. My friends, things are bad. The PAP pretends that everything is good. The PAP pretends that the $800 you will receive next week will pay for the entire GST that you will incur next year. And my friends, there is no doubt, there is absolutely no doubt that the government will raise GST once again after these elections have finished, just like they did after the 2006 elections. Yesterday the Prime Minister raised the usual fears that the PAP throws at the people of Singapore. Your home is at stake, your job is at stake, your children's future, your parents' care is at stake. If you vote for the alternative party, things will go bad. Well, I say again, things are already bad. The prices of basic goods are so high and still rising. In the last week alone, they went up by 0.5% again. With healthcare costs, even if you do have very, very good medical insurance, large Medisave reserves, a single catastrophic illness like renal failure can set you back in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. What more for those who haven't earned enough to pay for their old age? While we spend so much on defense, we spend so much less on the education of our children. What are we saying? That preparing our children for the future is less important than blowing up that future, than sending bullets into that future. Each time I look at a child, I say to myself, how important is her development? How important it is to let her learn and discover the world, to prepare herself for adult life. My friends, at this stage, I would like to say something from my heart. Some of you may have read the headlines about me in the last few days. I would like to say from this place that I have no anger towards those who caused me to enter the headlines. Politics is a stressful activity, not for me, but for other people. People who haven't had to contest their seats in the last 20 years. But having said that, politicians make mistakes. We are human beings, we say the wrong thing. Dr. Balakrishnan may have miscalculated. These things happen. I want us to move on, and I want to say from this place, I want to wish my PAP opponents the very best of luck. And may the best man and woman win. I would also like to say something about my motivation for being in politics and the motivation of the Singapore Democratic Party, which I love. Our party's aim has always been the people of Singapore. Not so much those who can speak their views, although them as well. But we are moved and worried by those who can't or don't. The elderly aunties and uncles, our disabled brothers and sisters, our children who are not doing well in school or have got into trouble with the police, our young couples who are struggling to set up a family and buy a flat, our start-up businessmen with very good at business ideas but who struggle with the cost of doing business in Singapore, and the whole of our people who wonder why the PAP keeps telling us that things are good, that they know what they are doing, but while we see more and more money being wasted and we are asked to pay more and more in taxes and levies and subsidies. This is our only aim, the people of Singapore. This is the agenda of the SDP, to help our fellow Singaporeans, to speak on their behalf, to ask the hard questions, to do the research, and take us all into the future confidently, with no one left behind. Let me assure you all and Singapore from this place, I have no other agenda than your agenda. Why? Because I am one of you. I also feel the pinch of rising prices. I also have to think twice about going to the doctor when I have the flu. I also haven't been able to afford a flat. I also worry about my parents' old age. I have spent my whole professional life working with the underprivileged, and it is they who move me, and it is they who move the members of my party. And if we have any radical idea, if we have any dangerous agenda, it is this: that all Singaporeans deserve to be happy and fulfilled, not just some. That all Singaporeans deserve to be equal members of this nation and not just economic digits, as Minister Mentor once called it. Because after 52 years of government, the PAP is still unable to secure your future. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew says we need to be kicked to work harder. Mr. Kaur tells us to send our parents to old people's homes in a foreign country. And Dr. Balakrishnan refuses to increase support to the poorest of the poor. And then he tells us to mind our own business when we ask how he overspent in the hundreds of millions of dollars. What we have seen over these last 5 years, they have never asked us for what we thought about policies. They never asked us whether we wanted a huge increase in our population. They never asked us if we expected such large numbers of people working for such low salaries so that your salaries would also be pulled down. Did they prepare us so that we could be welcoming of these new migrants in our midst? They never even asked us. Did they prepare the country so that there would be community centers and social services, enough school places and flats and hospital beds to prepare for the increase in the population? They never even asked us. Did they ask our advice about how our new migrants could blend into our community so that they could become loyal Singaporeans like you and me? They never even asked us. And did they ask us whether we expected our new citizens to serve in the army like all of us who have? They have stopped asking us what we wanted, and they have steamrolled through policies, and we are now struggling. And let us not make a mistake about the causes of these problems. Let us not forget that it is this government that has caused these problems, not through one term in Parliament, or two, but 13, over 52 years. That's 2 generations of people. There are more people in this country today who were not born when the PAP came to power. And it is those people whose lives are worse off now than they were then. You know, on the first page of the PAP manifesto, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong says that they were not able to predict the Asian crisis. Not the Asian crisis, the global crisis in 2008. That is not true. There were several economists and thinkers and scholars who predicted that. In 2005, no one listened. In fact, in those few years, the Singapore government lost huge amounts of our investment money. And what did they do at the Holland Bukit Panjang Town Council? They took $8 million of your money and squandered it on toxic investments. We knew at the end of 2007 that Lehman Brothers was already in very choppy waters. But greed became more important than safeguarding your money. Mr. Goh Chok Tong said, it's only 2%. Let me say to him from this place, wherever he is in Marine Parade today, that was 2% of your money. The conservancy charges that people have to struggle to pay on a monthly basis. They took it, they invested it, and they lost it. They gambled with our money. This is a government that after 52 years is not able to manage, not able to give you the life you deserve. Where is all the expertise that they say they have? Not after 5 years, but after 52 years. 3 days ago, Mr. Mabao Tan said that if we ran housing services as a non-profit affair, we would be raiding from the reserve. Is Mr. Ma really saying that banking in huge amounts of money is more important than sheltering our families and our old people? If he does, let him come out and say it during these next few days. But I might remind him that he was utterly silent when his colleague Dr. Balakrishnan gambled away hundreds of millions of our dollars and refused to explain and continues to refuse us a debate on these and other policy matters. That man is the leader of the team you may well have as your representative come May the 7th. A man totally incapable of either managing his portfolio or justifying his policy like a man. My friends, voters of Holland, Bukit Timah, voters of Sembawang, Yuhua, voters of Bukit Panjang, next Saturday you will exercise a choice. A choice, I remind you, people have died to secure for us. A choice between arrogance and service, a choice between gambling and prudence, a choice between self-service and community service. I invite you to listen to what both ourselves and the other parties say. Take a look at our website and our Facebook page. Support us in any way you can. And on that day, put your family first, as the Prime Minister says. Put your homes first and send these 11 people into Parliament. Thank you.